Short break. I think I was actually on Brian, and we'd ask you this particular question regarding the civic education that the IEBC has failed actually dismally to make sure the country and the populace are well sensitized regarding the ongoing process as domiciled in the Constitution that they have the right to continued voting or voter registration. So it shouldn't be an exercise that is given 1 month. This should be an ongoing process. And right now, as Gladys had put it earlier, we don't know even who the director of election is within IEBC.
I think before we went on a break,
yes,
there were certain fundamental issues that Shollei had raised. That it's only in Kenya and a number of African countries where you find you have a birth certificate, you have an ID, you have a driver's license, you have a death certificate.
You have a PIN card.
You have a PIN card. So, and you asked a very simple question, Debarl, whether this, the government is doing deliberately. And the answer is yes, the government is doing this deliberately to ensure that we do not integrate systems. As we speak, if you look at the register, we have around 138,000 people who apparently share IDs. The Commission cross-referenced their data as against the National Registration Bureau, and they realized that only 50,000 were registered. So around 78,000 were not part of the data from National Registration Bureau.
Yes.
So, and of course, they've given people 10 days to ensure that they clean the register. So these are well-calculated moves to ensure that really there is no credibility of data in our country. And this is done for purposes of a number of things. One, I was speaking to the CEO of IEBC. Do you know, Debarl, we have a big problem in this country. We don't even know how many people have died since the last general elections. The process of collection of data of dead people is quite wanting in our country. Yet the issue of integrating collection of data was proposed over 10 years ago. I don't even know why we've not implemented that. As we speak, if somebody has not taken a death certificate, and many Kenyans do not take death certificates, it's very difficult to have a clear collection of data from the chiefs to the hospitals to where there's a burial permit, and where you also issued with a death certificate.
Even if
today,
even if people took death certificates, there is no linkage between the people issuing the death certificate and the other systems.
Absolutely. So today, if you ask the registrar of deaths, how many people have since died since the 2013 general elections, they are not aware. And that is a huge problem. So, and those are key questions that are being asked. Even as we have chosen a firm to audit the register, they are auditing based on what? They don't even have data of dead people. How do you know that Joshua Kamau or Tieno from Junet's constituency has passed on? So again, that particular process is quite wanting. Now, if you look at the law, it provides, and I've seen the IEBC, what they're calling it KIEMS, the Kenya Integrated Election Management System. It provides for an integrated electronic process. Now, we are yet to procure that. We have gone to register people through the BVR kit. Now, if you look at the KIEMS process, you need to have an integrated system from registration, identification, and subsequently transmission of results.
All right.
Now, again, we are yet to procure that. Then we have still gone back to register people. So what we are doing is literally, after we register people, we'll take things using some hardware like a flash disk and putting them in the AVID, which again opens room for error. And if you look at the law, it says an integrated system in terms of election. So really, in terms of collection of data in this country, we are actually losing it.
All right, let's hear from Junet before we come to Gladys. Junet, first of all, you've been, as ODM, expressing frustrations regarding the NYS cohorts who are being used to register people. But we've heard also from the CEO clarifying that, and also from the Principal Secretary, Ministry of Devolution, that is Linda as well, clarifying there is no way, even looking at the machines that we're using, one is just for your thumb finger, right, for your thumb, actually, to make sure it's not like what we have, like the BVRs. What is your frustration, first of all, with the election materials, the way that they're secure? We had Al-Shabaab also invaded Arabia and took away the BVR kits. Have we established the serial numbers for this particular BVR kits as yet?
You see, Debarl, first of all, it's very unfortunate what's happening in this country today. We've raised many issues with the IEBC, and you think the policy of IEBC at the moment is to deny, deny, and deny. Everything you raise, they don't even take a day to investigate. In an hour's time, they will issue a statement denying it and saying that that is not true. For example, the issue of NYS.
Yes.
You see, there are people, first, NYS are using BVR kits from IEBC. IEBC gave the ministry BVRs to register people. We got data from NYS, over 200,000 people. We made random calls. We called somebody in Nyalenda in Kisumu where they were registering. We called him, we asked him, how are you, fine? How are you doing? I'm doing well. Have you registered? He said, yeah, I went to the registration center and I've been told I've already been registered. Who has registered you? I don't know. I went to my ID to register and I've been told you're already in the database of IEBC. You tell IEBC that, they don't want to listen. So who registered that man? He is ready to appear before IEBC and ask them, I went to register and I've been told you have been registered. They can't explain to him who registered him. So when you ask those questions, IEBC, the policy is deny and deny. Number two, you cannot secure electoral processes or electoral materials when you don't want to accept any mistakes that are happening on the ground. For example, there are registrations going on for example, in Isili. The registration is going on in South Sea. Documents were found in a hotel in South Sea in a lodging. They were taken to Pangani police station. In 2 hours' time, IEBC issues a statement and says there is nothing like that. There is nothing lost. There were only transfer forms. How did transfer forms in the first place find themselves in a lodging in Isli? How secure were those documents? Is it a registration center? Were there IEBC officers there registering people in a hotel? So there are many questions that beg answers, Debarl. And the Constitution talks about transparent and accurate, verifiable election. So if you don't want to engage the stakeholders, I don't know how you will have a transparent election. And Kenyans are normally prepared for a peaceful election. They're not prepared for a transparent election.
All right.
And this time it's not going to happen, I can assure you, as ODM.
All right, maybe we can hark back also to history, because Gladys also, you were part of the IEBC then. But in terms of the election material, the infrastructure of it, the equipment, the sensitive electoral materials that we're talking about here, listening to what is happening right now, from also these particular stories that they have been fixated on media right now, it seems that IEBC is doing a sloppy job in terms of the security of the election materials infrastructure itself. It is really wanting. How can those materials be found? Okay, this is not really verified, right? But as he alleges, that they have been found, they were found actually in the lodging, right? How comes again BVR kits can get lost from a police station? I think we're in a serious turmoil as a country when it comes to securing the infrastructure of election.
I think, Debarl, just following from the issues raised by Honorable Junet, it brings us to one thing that's very important in elections. You've got to constantly communicate with the stakeholders. You've got to, you focus on preparation, you've got to give out information freely, you've got to communicate, and then you've got to deal with suspicion. So that, for example, it's very important that IEBC is able to stand and say, we have so many kits, isn't it?
Yes.
And because there's a political parties liaison committee that works together with IEBC, which incorporates all political parties, you use that forum to say, we have so many kits, this is what we plan to do. The registration is going to be in such and such a place in this manner. That way, the political parties and people like Mheshimiwa Junet will then be well informed. Therefore, you have no suspicion. Because I think this panic and people not trusting the system is because they are not informed. So we should have said that from the beginning. And inform people the methodology that will be used. Even inform people, even at the time when the kits were lent to NYS, it was very important to inform the public that our kits are being issued to NYS Under the political parties liaison committee, let them know, let the political parties know that we have, our data is not on it. These are the systems we've put in to ensure there is no mix-up.
This is the number of BVR.
Yeah, BVR being given to them. At what stage are they returning them? In what condition? I think it's so simple. And that is why IEBC has a directorate of communication. That is their job to do that. And then education, explaining to people. And then it also brings us to looking at it and saying that, and I think for me this is clear. One, let's do whatever it takes to run this election. I remember in 2010, we were employed in the IEBC, the new IEC, in the beginning of January, and we had to register voters afresh in March. And we were able to pull it off. Why? There was support from everybody. I remember that the political parties liaison committee worked with us because we'd always call them and say, even if it's for 2 hours, say, this is what we plan to do. These are the challenges we have. This is the crisis we have. What happens is they partner with you so that they're not speaking different voices. And if you watch the road to the constitution, to the referendum, in 2010, it's because we worked along with all the political parties and all the stakeholders. We had NGOs working with us, finding out what was the problem. But also, when we talk about the registration, how many Kenyans know about the different registration system? And that's why I'm saying it's about information sharing. I always tell Kenyans, we have the National Registration Bureau, then we have the driving license, then we have the birth certificate, then we have the registration of the immigration department, then we have registration of aliens, then we have the integrated personnel and population registration system, IPRS, whatever they call it. So you think about it, we have so many of these systems. Something else Kenyans needed to know is that whatever equipment was bought for the 2013 elections, there is almost a 50% obsolete. They go obsolete, 50% of them.
Sure.
So I think Kenyans assumed we have the kits.
Yeah,
but we have a shortage of kits.
We have shortage
and
of
I
kits.
think that is something important.
All right.
And I would ask that IEBC continue informing the public. That way we don't panic.
Yeah,
and we will help them.
All right. And also the disposal of these kits. Because we've not been told about these kits which are obsolete. How are they disposed of? Because that will be also a query when it comes to the integrity of the whole process. But before we come to, let's hear from Dr. Roba. Hearing at all this, and you as a National Cohesion and Integration Commission is a threat to the cohesion of this country. First of all, we are looking at how an institution is failing to protect the integrity of the election materials itself. First of all, we're going to this general election, and people have bugbears and fears that, oh, no, there's a BVR kit which is lost. First, we didn't get any statement from IEBC regarding this particular BVR kits which were lost. We've not been given the serial numbers of these BVR kits where they are right now, that now they should be expunged from the system so that we know this particular serial number of a BVR kit which is in circulation somewhere maybe in Somalia or here in Kenya. I know you cannot speak against another commissioner as well, so you're very diplomatic, but looking at it from your standpoint, where do we, are we on a good state as a country?
I think what all these challenges which are emerging, first of all, is also the Madam Shollei did speak a little bit about earlier on about how we build our institutions and how we begin to prepare effectively for some of these things. But we are in an election season now. There is a lot of course, rumors and other things do come in, but it also creates anxiety. Where there are specific cases, I think it's very, very important for the IEBC to clearly come up with some of those issues. I think it's also very important that we also do sequence certain things, that we shouldn't be actually having NYS registration or something going on when it can create, anxiety that maybe certain arms of government might be doing something which maybe will be construed to be IEBC registration. I think what he spoke about, Honorable Junet spoke about, is also very important. So I think it's critical for IEBC to be able to effectively communicate, to be able to effectively also handle their equipments and also their staff. I think the aspects of monitoring and also being able to randomly see where people are and where they were actually operating is quite critical in that case. You
as a commission also should be faulted, right? In terms of, you had actually a meeting in Mombasa, and we had your chair really saying that right now we're going to be training police officers on how to handle the matters of hate speech.
Yes,
and this will be done in July, right? Yes. For all these 5 good years, what have you been doing?
Let me tell you, basically, there's a whole election, what we call the Uyano platform for peaceful election, which has been rolled out. NCIC has come up with a very robust roadmap for peaceful election. I'll just touch on a few things. First, one of the major things that we have been focusing on is actually building capacity of the criminal investigation departments to deal with issues of hate crimes and also what we call political incitements. About 3,000 police officers have been trained across the country. And these ones will be strategically deployed to all the critical areas that we have concerns of where political incitement will be. We have also done a lot of engagements, what we call, there's actually interagency task force, which is on operations, regularly meeting with Judiciary, regularly meeting with IEBC, and I want to say IEBC is part of the also Uyano platform for peace. There's actually an engagement we call election security monitoring.
Yes.
We have also, so we have built this infrastructure. We have also going to deploy about 110 what we call cohesion monitors.
Yes.
These are civilians, about 2 per county, and we are also guided by very systematic reports of where what counties we see as hotspots across the country. So this will be strategically deployed. And then the cybercrime, we are building a lot of capacity. I think we have, we'll be having about 5 specialists working closely with the Commission and also on hate speech monitoring, particularly on social media. Then there is a very new initiative with Facebook and Google, where we are going to actually fight hate crimes at a very high level and be able to get access to some of the exhibits that we need.
You're going to, you know, you're always planning. And of
No,
course,
not planning.
There's chaos. There's a nuclear war when it comes to social media on our Kenyan politics as well. So when are you rolling out this? You're waiting
rolling
for...
rolling out some of, for example, the police officers, those ones have already been rolled out. And these are things which have been happening. And those ones are already on the ground.
You.
Then we are also doing a lot of other things. The monitoring of the cohesion monitors, those ones are going to be deployed in about 2 weeks. So the roadmap will also be brought clearly, and we'll be discussing actually with also political stakeholders.
But as a commission,
yes,
you don't communicate effectively.
We do communicate, and we'll also improve our communication.
Who knows about all these policies and all these mechanisms that you're coming up with?
I think Kenyans do know, because we had actually...
I have no sodding idea. I'm hearing from you. Gladys, are you aware about this?
I haven't heard about it, but I do remember that when I worked for the Electoral Commission, we held a press conference. After we had the National Security Council meeting, we had a press conference where we explained to the public what exactly you've said.
Thank you.
This has been put in place, etc. The public must know. It's not enough for you to do it and to know it. When they know it, then it's done.
Thank you. We have to take callers who are hanging on the line. Allow me to take callers who are hanging on the line, of course, for them to also pepper you with questions. We have Robert hanging on the line. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Debarl.
Morning to you. A question or a contribution?
I want to greet all your panels this morning.
Please, please.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
I want to request Debarl from your panel.
Yes.
Because this country has been healing. Just right from the year 1997.
Yes.
2002, 2007, 2013. Now we are going to 2017. This country is healing about elections. We have never had electoral board who give a credible election, who shows the Kenyan transparency of what they are going to hold. Can we be helped by the panel to heckle about all this? What we can hear when we are heading to election is IB kits being stolen. They are being found in Isili. They are being found in Westland. And these are the things that are even creating the voter apathy, because we are fond of voting every now and then, after which we realize that our votes have been stolen. So how can you participate in an election whereby if you vote, it is being stolen? If you vote, it is being stolen. The country is healing. Now the government is working here and there, heckling that they have developed the country, they have do this, the road and what. They pronounce many things that we cannot even carry within our heads, and yet the doctors are outside their areas of work. They are staying in prison, and yet they cannot even take a word to explain to Kenyans why are the doctors are not in their work.
Thank you.
Why are they in prison?
Thank
what
you.
are they doing?
Thank you, Robert, there. All right, we have Dixon also hanging on the line. Good morning. Good morning, Dixon.
Morning, Debarl.
Yeah, your question, please, or your contribution?
I have a contribution, Debarl.
Briefly, sir.
Debarl, one of the TV shows from a different session last week,
Yes.
that was the Jubilee chairman, Dr. Noah Weke.
Yes.
He admitted very well there's a mass importation of people from the neighboring countries who are registering.
Yes.
IBC is so much silent about it, they are not responding. That is one.
Yes.
Going back to the ID issue,
Yes.
I can recall very well the late Otieno Kajwang came up with an idea of an electronic ID.
Yes.
The state machinery with the register of person said there was no money. Here comes a case, there's money where people can register in 3 days. I think these are just well-schemed program with a hidden purpose to infringe. Let's give you an example, Debarl, a small one.
Yes.
Kakamega County is the biggest in terms of population, but those who have IDs are much less than the population. Going to Kiambu, you find that adults are much more than the children, meaning there are 3 parents, 1 kid.
Yes.
Is it really practical?
Good question, Dixon.
To the guy, NCIC guy, the integration guy, they're really doing us also a disservice.
Thank you, Dixon. Of course, we were expecting also this year to be here, but apparently he couldn't make it. We have Madenge finally hanging on the line. Good morning, Madenge from Mombasa.
Good morning, habari yenu.
Mzuri sana.
Unajua sasa hii Kiswahili kiko na marketing, kampeni zinaanza kushinda Kizungu.
Najua kweli.
Hata rais na wapinzani wote unaona wanazungumza Kiswahili, sasa Kizungu hakina market.
Haya, swali.
Mimi nazungumza kitu kimoja. Nilikuwa nataka kusema mambo ya Roba. Roba lazima aangaliwe sana. Hizi statement ambazo anaenda anarukaruka mali kunatokea kitu ambacho hakitakikani, hizo statement anazozungumza sio za mtu ambaye hayuko qualified kufanya na IEBC. Kwanza tuanze na hii ya ICD. ICD kuna watu wameshika mtu na wakasema yule mtu alikuwa na BVR na kuna mashahidi karibu 3 wanasema BVR wameziona, yeye anasema hajaziona, yeye anasema kuna BVR. Yeye anachukua statement za watu ambao watawa kuwapata na hata wale ambao walikuwapata, the key witness. Twende hii ya Runda. Ameambia kuna watu hivi na hivi, unaona hiyo statement anaenda kuzungumza hapo. Ni kitu ambaye hataifai yeye kuzungumza, baadaye asikilize yule ambaye ni key witness. Kuna key witness hapo wamezungumza sana ambao waliona watu. Lakini yeye anapata watu ambao wanamwambia vitu ambaye hakuona. Lazima tuangalie. Wacha uchaguzi huo ukweli na haki. Na atakayeshinda wacha atuongoze. Sio lazima awe mimi kabila yangu ama kabila ya babangu ama nani. Wacha atakayeshinda kwa haki atuongoze. Tutakubali.
Thank you, Madenge there from Mombasa as well. And we have Beng Charlie on Twitter saying, worrisome political rhetoric now drowning reason and logic. We have also Noel Adongo Cheng saying, you trust IBC, but Kenyans, including me, are insecure, right? And also we have Julia's Kuria saying the impotence, confidence on IBC is a manufactured perception by the selfish political class. We have also Tony Sop saying, common mwananchi asking, how do I vet the register? Weke is an NGO supposed to mind us? Well, someone is asking there. Also, we have Abdirahman Ali. The biggest challenge is a political blame game and no official flag bearer for CORD, I should say. This brings confusion too. We have Michael Wanga. IBC must start from a clean sheet to be trusted. And we have also Michael Wanga saying, since politicians have no interest in a credible process, if results announced at the polling stations, right? And Edwin, lastly, Alex Wamalo saying, yes, Jeanette, thank you. IBC is a great letdown, right? He's mentioning this. Listening to what also our callers are expressing frustrations with, finally, can we just drill deeper and looking at first of all, the protecting of integrity and the voter registration list, that is one thing. Yeah. Looking at the integrity of election materials is one thing. Protecting the accuracy of elections results, of course, has been one thing. right? We had ODM, or we had moving to courts with the last election results as well. Protecting free and fair process and its system is one thing. So when you look at the security for the integrity of the whole process, where are we at? Jeanette?
I think if IEBC, IEBC is an independent institution. Actually, it's the only commission with the word independent. The rest have other names: National Cohesion, Water Cohesion. It's only IEBC which is given the name independent, and that's for a good reason. The reason being, it's an arbiter. It's supposed to bring. It is the future of this country lies in the hands of IEBC. They're supposed to conduct free, fair, transparent, and accurate and verifiable election. In the sense that if somebody wins convincingly and decisively, and somebody loses, he loses convincingly. But what's happening now? We are seeing an IEBC, which is, IEBC is an institution which was running for the last 5 years. I'm told Madam Shollei said that before. There was a secretariat that was in office, even when people like where I belong to CORD were removing the commissioners. It looks like they were sleeping on the job. It's like they have woken up now and running helter-skelter and trying to, even refusing to abide by the laws that have been made by Parliament. I can tell you for sure that if IEBC does not conduct free, fair elections, things are not going to be good for this country. Because I'm not saying that any quarter must win. Jubilee can win, CORD can win, or NASA, but the essence of the matter here is that IEBC must conduct free and fair elections. Anything short of that, Debarl, this country will be courting a disaster.
Courting a disaster.
Yeah.
All right. Let's hear from Brian first of all. We'll come to you, Roba. But in terms of the election materials, the BVR kits, some of them, Gladys has alluded to, are obsolete. What is the harm of us really, borrowing from other countries like Ghana? They had a very good elections, and we never had of any issues with the BVR kits. Why? We actually gave our BVR kits to Burundi,
yes,
to carry out the elections as well. So if we are at a hold of a dilemma where we are strapped for time to procure, borrowing can be another alternative.
Look at, just to add on that, look at even the way IEBC is dismissing the court rulings that was made by Justice Odunga the other day. That court ruling, in essence, or in the real way, in the real thing of things, is putting the correct measures for IEBC to do the elections. When somebody is aggrieved, or when somebody feels that things are not being done the right way, the only option he has is to go to court. Madam Shollei will tell you, I think she's a lawyer. The court pronounced itself on the matter. And IEBC is trying to tell us that the ruling of the court will affect the timelines of the elections. So you mean you wanted to do a shoddy job? If the court has told you that you're not doing the right thing for the country, and you're telling them that it's going to affect the timelines, it's going to affect the way we have planned things to be. If you plan to do things in a bad way, you expected people to keep quiet. You see, Chiloba should be very careful, for heaven's sake, the statements he's issuing to Kenyans. Because court orders must be respected. He has an ability to appeal. Look at the KPMG audit of the register. It's a matter in court. By 4th of October last year, vacancies were declared in the offices of the commissioners and the IEBC. A commission consists of secretariat and commissioners. I remember there are people who were taken to court by the EACC one time, and they were not commissioners in office. They got a ruling that you cannot be charged because there was no commission.
All right, let's
How do you do such dangerous, important decisions without a commission? And vacancies were declared.
All right, let's hear from Brian Weke, also as we prepare you
I think for me, two things, Debarl. There's an earlier question you had asked about civic education.
Yes, please.
And I think our beloved President of the Republic of Kenya is on record. If you listen to his last speech, which was on 12th of December, he actually said that Kenyans do not need civic education. And he has since gone ahead and clamped down on a number of civil society organizations. You noticed that they've clamped down on Kenya Human Rights Commission. You've noticed that Mike Yard has actually resigned from IFS and gone back to the US.
Did he resign or was he deported?
No, he resigned.
He resigned.
He's actually resigned.
Okay.
The chief of party of the Kenya Electoral Assistance Program, Julie Hughes, has also resigned and went back to... So again, the issue of civic education is extremely important. And if you look at the new law that was passed by Parliament, it mandated IEBC to work with a number of civil society organizations to be able to dispense this. You know, even though it is the role of the Commission, and I like what Ms. Shollei said, that it's extremely important when you're running elections, you have to run it with a number of stakeholders. I know it is the mandate of the Commission, but really, it has to be done by a number of stakeholders, including political parties. The issue of leasing of BVR kits. Now, and I want to appeal to the commissioners, because issues to do with enfranchising of voters is a very important aspect of realization of the right to vote. As we speak, Debarl, we only use 6,000 BVR kits. 6,000, we were targeting a total of around 6 million. If you do a quick math, that translates to around 300 people being registered per kit per day for 30 days. That will give you around 6 million. Now, that in itself is unattainable. Other than issues to do with ID cards, other than issues to do with voter apathy, really, issues to do with the distribution of kits is a major issue. As I've told you when we were starting, there are only 6,000 kits as against 45,000 polling stations.
Yes.
The question you've asked, the issue of leasing of BVR kits, that is something that we ought to have thought about. Because if you ask me, we ought to have had nearly 45,000 kits to make it quite easy for any Kenyan, wherever they are, to be able to register.
Thank you. Let's hear from Gladys.
I think I think we've talked about a lot of problems that have arisen, and I think that's agreed on. But I like to prefer to focus on solutions. Okay, and I think one thing, let us hold IEBC's hand. Yeah, they're in trouble. They've not done some things right, but let's work with them because that's the commission that we have. I would like to ask Honorable Junet, together with his colleagues in the opposition, we bashed IEBC so hard that it got to a point where they were frozen and weren't making decisions. And I think I'm on record having said this on this television station. Let's do this now. Let's not bash them to the point that they can't work. We should be telling them we want to work with you. We want people to call for a meeting for the political parties liaison committee. Let us agree on the systems to make this election free, fair, transparent, and with integrity, isn't it? If we talk about vetting the register, how do you vet the register? We can all participate in the vetting of the register. During the time that verification of the register will go on, I would like to ask all NGOs, yeah, all civic educators, all political parties, let us send our people out there. You can do it. As an aspirant, I'll do it. I'll send people in there to check if their names are on the register, whether there are any people who are not supposed to be in the register, and so on. Let us make sure that if it will work, the voter identification kit. If it works, it deals with the problem of dead voters, because a dead man cannot bring his fingerprints to the polling station, hopefully. Yeah, so there are things we can work deliberately to work with them. If it's election materials, through the political parties liaison committee, let us ask IEBC that we want to be able to know and get briefings at certain intervals to say such and such materials are being procured from this company in this method.